Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! A delicate tapestry of sunlight wove through the blinds, creating a dance of shadows and light. In the center of this arena of rays, a lens captures the room, perched atop a tripod. The woman behind the camera, Hannah, fine-tuned her craft, her dark hair cascading from a loose knot. Her attire, a muted green t-shirt paired with jeans, testified to her signature style. "Will you tell me when you start recording?" A voice, deep and warm like fresh brewed coffee, reached her from the kitchen. "Just a moment," she replied, her eyes focused. "I want this shot to be perfect." The digital world they'd crafted, where followers glimpsed their unscripted lives, had blossomed. Life Unfiltered wasn't just a title, but their manifesto. His 6-foot frame looked comfortable in gray sweatpants and a navy blue t-shirt, his short blonde hair still damp from the shower.
"So what's today's big plan?"
He handed Hannah her mug, decorated with cartoon cats.
"Another eating challenge? Please don't say hot peppers again. My digestive system is still recovering from last time."
Hannah smiled, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "Actually, I have something completely different in mind."
Reese raised an eyebrow. "Why do I feel like I'm about to regret asking?"
"Remember how our husband does my makeup video went viral last month? How could I forget? I made you look like a rejected circus clown." Reese laughed, taking a sip of his coffee. Hannah pressed record and moved to sit beside him on their beige couch. "Well, our viewers loved seeing you out of your comfort zone. The comments section was on fire."
"They weren't laughing with me.
They were laughing at me," Reese pointed out, but with good humor. He was never one to take himself too seriously, a quality that had endeared him to their audience. "True, but you were a good sport, which is why—" Hannah reached under the couch and pulled out a large envelope. "I've entered you in the Miss Housewife competition." Reese nearly spat out his coffee. "The what now?" "Miss Housewife. It's this fun local contest happening at the community fair next weekend. Mostly it's women competing in typical housewife skills. Cooking, sewing, organizing. But the twist is they're encouraging husbands to participate too. For laughs, you know?" Reese stared at her, then at the camera, then back at Hannah. "You want me to dress up as a housewife and... what? Bake cookies against actual housewives?" "Not just any housewife." Hannah grinned, pulling a yellow sundress with white polka dots from the envelope. "You're going to be Evelyn, the perkiest housewife on the block." "Absolutely not." But even as he said it, Reese's lips twitched. Their most successful videos always involved one of them stepping far outside their comfort zone. And truthfully, he enjoyed making their viewers laugh. "Come on, it'll be hilarious! And I already bought the dress!" Hannah held it up against his chest. "See? Yellow is totally your color. Where did you even find a dress this size?" "Online. I may have measured some of your clothes while you were sleeping." Reese sighed, taking the dress with hesitant hands. The fabric was soft, flowing between his fingers. "The things I do for content." "So that's a yes?" Hannah's eyes lit up. I'm probably going to regret this, but fine." He examined the dress more closely. "Wait, is there a talent portion to this competition?" "Don't worry, I've got it all figured out."
"You're going to demonstrate the perfect technique for folding fitted sheets."
"I don't even know how to do that." "Exactly." Hannah laughed. "That's what makes it funny." 3 days later, their living room had transformed into a makeshift dressing room. Hannah's makeup spread across the coffee table, and various accessories covered the couch. Reese stood awkwardly in the middle of the room, freshly shaved and eyeing the sundress hanging from their bookshelf.
"Are you sure this doesn't cross some line?"
Reese asked, genuinely concerned. "I don't want to offend anyone." Hannah adjusted the camera. "We're not mocking women or housewives. We're just having fun with gender expectations. Plus, the competition specifically invited husbands to participate." "Fair enough." Reese took a deep breath.
"Let's do this then."
The transformation took nearly 2 hours. Hannah filmed key moments, Reese struggling into pantyhose, wincing as she applied mascara to his lashes, laughing as he practiced walking in strappy white sandals. "Stand still," Hannah instructed, carefully applying pink lipstick. "This shade complements your complexion." "I have a complexion," Reese joked, trying not to move his mouth too much. "Everyone has a complexion." Hannah stepped back, admiring her work. "Now for the final touch." She pulled out a shoulder-length blonde wig that matched Reese's natural hair color surprisingly well. Once the wig was carefully positioned, Hannah guided Reese to the full-length mirror in their bedroom. The camera followed. Reese froze at his reflection. The transformation was remarkable. The yellow sundress with white polka dots hung nicely on his frame, cinched at the waist to create an illusion of curves. The makeup was skillfully applied, natural enough to enhance rather than mask. The blonde wig framed his face softly, making his features appear more delicate.
"I don't even recognize myself,"
he whispered. "You look beautiful," Hannah said sincerely, standing beside him. "Should I start calling you Evelyn now?" Something flickered across Reese's face, an expression Hannah couldn't quite read. But then he smiled, turning sideways to see the dress from another angle.
"Evelyn,"
he repeated softly.
"Yes, I think that works."
The Miss Housewife competition was held in the community center's main hall, decorated with gingham tablecloths and mason jars filled with fresh flowers. 8 contestants participated, 6 women and 2 men, including Reese. The other male contestant had taken a more comedic approach, with exaggerated makeup and a cartoonish persona. But Reese, or rather Evelyn, had opted for authenticity. Hannah filmed everything, Evelyn nervously entering the hall, the surprised looks from other contestants, the encouraging words from organizers. To everyone's surprise, Evelyn performed admirably in the challenges. Years of helping around the house had given Reese practical skills that translated well. "And now, demonstrating the art of folding fitted sheets, please welcome Evelyn," the announcer called. Evelyn walked onto the small stage, yellow sundress swaying gently. The audience, mostly there for laughs, settled in expectantly. "Hello, everyone," Evelyn began, her voice higher than Reese's normal tone, but not mockingly so.
"Today, I'll show you how even the most challenging household task can be mastered with patience."
What followed was not the comedic disaster they had planned. Instead, Evelyn delivered a genuinely helpful demonstration, having secretly practiced for days. The audience watched with increasing interest as she transformed the notoriously difficult sheet into a neat rectangle. "And that's how it's done," Evelyn concluded with a small curtsy. The applause was genuine. Later, during the interview portion, the MC asked each contestant why they deserved the title of Miss Housewife. When Evelyn's turn came, Hannah expected the rehearsed joke about bringing diversity to housewifery. Instead, Evelyn spoke from the heart. Being a housewife isn't about gender. It's about creating a home filled with care and attention to detail. Whether you're a woman or a man shouldn't matter. What matters is the love you put into making a space where people feel valued and comfortable." The audience went silent, then erupted in applause. Even the judges looked impressed. Evelyn didn't win the competition, placing 3rd overall, but she won the Audience Favorite Award, a small crown and sash that she wore with surprising dignity. On the drive home, Reese remained in character as Evelyn, the crown perched on the blonde wig. Hannah turned off the camera to save battery. "You were amazing," she said, reaching over to squeeze his hand. "That wasn't at all what we planned, but it was so much better." "Thank you." The voice was still Evelyn's. "I enjoyed it more than I expected." Hannah glanced at her husband. "You can drop the voice now. Camera's off." But Reese didn't immediately switch back to his normal tone. "What if I don't want to?" The question hung in the car, weighted with meaning neither of them fully understood yet. "What do you mean?" Hannah asked carefully. "I'm not sure," Reese admitted, finally dropping the higher pitch. "But something about today felt right." Hannah nodded slowly. "We can talk about it when we get home." The video of Reese's transformation into Evelyn was edited and uploaded 3 days later. They included the competition footage, the surprising 3rd-place finish, and brief clips from the car ride home. They ended it with a light-hearted segment of Reese removing the makeup and wig, returning to normal. Except Reese had been unusually quiet during the editing process. Normally, he offered suggestions and laughed at their footage, but this time, he'd watched with intense focus, especially the segments where he was fully transformed into Evelyn. The video went live on a Tuesday evening. By Wednesday morning, it had 50,000 views. By Friday, it passed 500,000 and was still climbing. "We've gained 15,000 subscribers overnight," Hannah announced over breakfast, scrolling through her phone. "The comments are overwhelmingly positive." Reese nodded, pushing cereal around his bowl. He wore a plain white t-shirt and gray shorts, his usual loungewear. "Are you not excited?" Hannah asked, looking up from her phone. "I am," Reese said. "It's just..." "Just what?" Reese set down his spoon. "I keep thinking about how it felt, being Evelyn." Hannah put her phone down, giving him her full attention. "What about it?" "It felt liberating. Like I was playing a role, but also not playing a role at all." He struggled to find the right words. "Like parts of me that were always there finally had permission to exist." Hannah reached across the table, taking his hand. "That's significant." "I know." Reese met her eyes. "I don't know what it means yet, but I can't stop thinking about it." The conversation might have continued, but Reese's phone buzzed with a notification. A morning talk show wanted them as guests to discuss their viral video. Over the next 2 weeks, their channel exploded. The Evelyn video continued gaining views, their subscriber count doubled, and media requests poured in. They did 3 remote interviews for online shows and 1 in-person segment for a local news program. Through it all, Reese answered questions politely, but seemed increasingly distracted. When alone, Hannah often caught him staring at nothing, lost in thought. 3 weeks after the competition, Hannah found Reese in their spare bedroom, which functioned as their filming space and storage for equipment. He sat on the floor, the yellow sundress spread across his lap. "Reese?" she asked from the doorway. He looked up, not startled but not fully present either. "Do you think I could wear this again? For another video, maybe?" Hannah sat beside him on the carpet. If you want to, but can we talk about what's really going on? Reese ran his fingers over the polka-dotted fabric.
I've been doing research about gender identity, about people who feel different from how they appear on the outside.
And
I think... He took a shaky breath. I think Evelyn might be more than a character for a YouTube video.
Hannah nodded slowly, processing.
You think Evelyn might be who you really are? Maybe. I don't know yet.
Reese's voice trembled.
But I want to explore it, and I'm terrified of what that means for us.
Hannah took the dress, set it aside, and pulled her husband into a tight embrace. It means we figure it out together. That's what it means. They cried together on the spare room floor, surrounded by camera equipment that had documented their lives but missed the most important transformation happening beneath the surface. The next morning, they sat at their kitchen table with notebooks and laptops. Hannah had spent half the night researching, compiling resources, and thinking. So, she began, I think we have an opportunity here, not just for you to explore your identity, but to share that journey with our audience. If you want to, that is. Reese, who had asked to be called Evelyn during this conversation as an experiment, looked up from a page of notes. You think people would want to watch that? Based on the comments from the competition video, absolutely. So many people connected with your authenticity, and representation matters. Seeing someone navigate this journey could help others. Evelyn considered this. But what about the pranks and challenges? That's what our channel was built on. Channels evolve. Look at how many YouTubers started with one concept and grew into something completely different. Hannah reached for Evelyn's hand. But more importantly, this is your life. If you want to keep this private, we can. The channel isn't what matters here. Evelyn squeezed her hand. What if we start small? Maybe a video where I try being Evelyn for a full day, not just for a competition? See how it feels, how people react. That sounds perfect. The video was titled Living as Evelyn, A Day in Her Shoes. It began with a candid conversation between Hannah and Reese, explaining the unexpected impact of the competition video and the questions it had raised. They were careful with language, not making definitive statements about identity, but focusing on exploration and authenticity. For the video, Evelyn wore the yellow sundress again, along with the blonde wig and natural makeup. They filmed a typical day, grocery shopping, meeting friends for lunch, walking in the park. The camera captured both Evelyn's experiences and strangers' reactions, which ranged from confusion to supportive smiles. The most powerful moment came at the end. Sitting on their couch, still fully dressed as Evelyn, Reese spoke directly to the camera. I don't have all the answers yet, but today felt honest in a way I can't fully explain. Being Evelyn isn't about the dress or the makeup. It's about allowing myself to express something that's always been inside me.
I don't know where this journey leads, but I'm grateful to have the support to explore it.
They uploaded the video with nervous anticipation. The response was overwhelming, not just in views, but in comments filled with encouragement, similar experiences, and questions about what came next. Hannah and Reese, Life Unfiltered, began its evolution. Over the next several months, their content shifted. They still included humor and everyday moments, but the channel increasingly documented Evelyn's journey. First came more extended periods as Evelyn, full weekends, then a week. Evelyn purchased her own clothes, developing a style that featured bright colors and feminine details while remaining practical. The yellow sundress remained special, brought out for significant moments. Hannah filmed candid conversations about gender identity, featuring resources from professionals. They interviewed other transgender individuals, who shared guidance and validation. Their subscriber count continued to grow, but more importantly, a supportive community formed around their content. 6 months after the competition, Evelyn made a decision. She wanted to transition fully, to live as her authentic self all the time. They announced this in a video filmed in their living room. Evelyn wore a teal blouse and white pants. Her growing natural blonde hair supplemented by the wig she'd become less dependent on as her own hair lengthened. Hannah sat beside her in a purple dress, holding her hand. After months of exploration, therapy, and deep self-reflection, I've come to understand that I am transgender, Evelyn said to the camera. Evelyn isn't a character I play. She's who I've always been beneath the surface. Hannah smiled, squeezing her hand. And I'm here, supporting my wife every step of the way. The transition journey became their channel's primary focus. They documented the practical aspects, legal name changes, hormone therapy, voice training, but they also captured the emotional landscape, the dysphoria, the euphoria, the moments of doubt and certainty. They renamed the channel Hannah and Evelyn, Transition Unfiltered, maintaining their commitment to authenticity while acknowledging the evolution of their content and lives. 1 year after the Miss Housewife competition, they returned to the same event. This time, Evelyn entered as herself. No pretense, no performance. She wore a new dress for the occasion, a blue floral print that complemented her developing figure, her natural blonde hair now touching her shoulders. The competition organizers welcomed her warmly, many having followed her journey online. Some contestants remembered her from the previous year and expressed admiration for her courage. Evelyn participated in all the same challenges, no longer feeling like an outsider pretending to belong. During the interview portion, she was asked about returning under such different circumstances. "Last year, I thought I was playing a role," she said, her voice naturally higher after months of training. "But that role opened the door to my authentic self. Sometimes we find our truth in unexpected places." She won second place this time, but the victory was symbolic of something far more significant than a competition ranking. That evening, Evelyn and Hannah sat on their patio, watching the sunset. Hannah held the camera, filming for a brief update to their channel. "So, how does it feel?" Hannah asked. "Being back at the competition that started everything, but as your true self?" Evelyn smiled, the golden light catching in her blonde hair. "It feels like coming full circle. That yellow polka dot dress changed my life. It let me see a version of myself I'd kept hidden, even from myself. Do you ever regret it? Making such a public journey?" "Not for a second." Evelyn turned toward the camera. "Being visible means someone else might recognize themselves in our story. If that helps even one person find their truth sooner than I found mine, it's worth it." Hannah set the camera down, moving to sit beside her wife. Off camera, she took Evelyn's hand. "I'm so proud of you. Of us. We should thank our past selves," Evelyn mused. "You for coming up with that prank, and me for being willing to try something outside my comfort zone. Who would have thought a silly YouTube challenge would lead to all this?" Evelyn smiled, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. "The best journeys often begin when we least expect them." As darkness fell, they gathered their things to head inside. Evelyn paused at the door, looking back at their patio where they'd filmed countless videos together. First as Hannah and Reese, now as Hannah and Evelyn. "You know what amazes me most?" she said quietly. "What's that?" "How something can feel both like a complete transformation and also like finally becoming who you always were. Hannah kissed her cheek. That's because it's both. You changed everything and nothing at the same time. Inside, their living room wall featured framed screenshots from significant videos. The original Miss Housewife competition, their first day out as Evelyn, the announcement of her transition, and their wedding photo, recently updated with a ceremony that reflected their new reality. Beside these hung the yellow sundress with white polka dots, preserved in a shadow box with a simple inscription, "The dress that revealed Evelyn." Their channel continued to evolve as Evelyn's transition progressed. They documented medical appointments, celebrated milestones, and shared setbacks with the same honesty that had defined their content from the beginning. 2 years after the original competition, they posted a special anniversary video. It began with clips from the very first transformation, followed by highlights from the subsequent journey. It ended with Evelyn, confident and radiant, in a yellow dress similar to, but more sophisticated than the original sundress, addressing their audience. When my wife entered me in that competition as a prank, neither of us could have imagined the journey that would follow. What began as content for our channel became the path to my authentic self. I found Evelyn. Or rather, I uncovered her after years of not knowing she was there. I'm grateful for every step of this journey. The support from Hannah, who loved me enough to stay when everything changed, and from this community, who witnessed and validated my transformation. Most transitions aren't documented for an audience, and I recognize the privilege and responsibility that comes with our platform. The yellow dress hanging on our wall reminds me daily that sometimes our truest self is waiting just beneath the surface, ready to emerge when given the chance. All we need is the courage to look in the mirror and recognize what's been there all along. Hannah joined her on camera, wrapping an arm around her waist. And that's our unfiltered life. Not the one we planned, but exactly the one we were meant to live. The video ended with them walking away from the camera, hand in hand, toward whatever adventure awaited next. The yellow sundress with white polka dots had started as a costume for a prank, but became the key that unlocked a door neither knew existed. Beyond that door, Evelyn found not just a new identity, but the person she was always meant to be. Their story continued to inspire others navigating similar journeys, proving that authenticity, however unexpected its arrival, was always worth embracing. What began as content became truth. What started as transformation revealed itself as recognition. In finding Evelyn, Reese hadn't become someone new, but finally, fully herself.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!